Hi, everybody. Welcome to 4.7 Discovery of Grace. I hope you guys are having a good time working on your books with your parents and your family. And this is a very special discovery. I'll give you a few minutes to try and let you figure out why it's so special. But it's all about grace. And your book says that grace is giving someone something that they do not deserve, something good that they don't deserve. And so we've all been shown a lot of grace, either by our parents or our siblings or our friends, but most importantly by God, because none of us is good enough to be with God, because that means you have to be perfect. And since none of us is perfect, none of us is worthy of a relationship with God, but God gave us Jesus so that we could have a relationship with God. And if you haven't started a relationship with God, today is a good day. You can talk to your parents about it, or you can go ahead and give me an email or a call. I'm always happy to talk to you as well. So we're going to start with our memory verse for today. You guys, this is the one that we have been working up to the last couple of weeks. Galatians 5:22 through 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such there is no law. And that last part of the verse just means that there is no law that's going to keep you from being kind to somebody who's unkind to you, or who's going to say you have to be frustrated with this person because they're being very aggravating. It says you can always be loving and joyful and kind to other people. So that is our memory verse, and we've already done our review verse, but let's do it one more time. 1 Timothy 6:11. But you, man of God, flee all this and pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness. And you guys already know that I think of a military guy going out on maneuvers when I read this verse, because this is God's mission for us. He says, this is what you are supposed to be doing. And that holds true whether you guys are in AWANA, whether you're doing fun things this summer, or whatever is going on. God has a special mission for you, and it includes pursuing all of those things listed in that verse. So I look forward to hearing how you guys did that this summer. Today, I had a special story I wanted to read, but before I forget, the reason this particular section is so much fun and is so special is because the name of your book is Discovery of Grace, and this is also the name of this discovery. So this is the discovery that your book is named after. So I just figured I would point that out for you. If you've been in AWANA a while, you know that this is one of my favorite books to read out of, and so hopefully you guys will enjoy it as well. This will make the movie just a little bit longer, so I did want to point that out as well. Today we are going to be talking about a story about grace. And when we think about grace, we think a lot about God giving us grace, but I want to encourage you that we also need to show that grace to other people. And so we are going to read Nicholas and His Neighbors. You can look up the story in the Bible if you want to know what it is before you can figure it out, or you can just wait to figure it out, because this is a parable that Jesus told. It's found in Luke 10:25 through 37. There once was a village called Pupland, nestled in a beautiful green valley. Down its quaint cobblestone streets trotted every size, shape, and color of dog imaginable. One resident, however, stood out from the rest. His name was Nicholas, and he looked unlike any of the dogs in Pupland. You see, Nicholas was a cat. Can you see that there? Nicholas so loved farming that he had purchased one of the fields outside the village. He enjoyed tilling the ground and planting seeds, and he did not mind at all having dogs for neighbors. But having a cat for a neighbor, that did bother the citizens of Pupland. In fact, he just didn't fit in their opinion. One dog particularly disliked Nicholas. His name was Ned, and he was the sheriff of Pupland. You guys see Ned in there? Looking very official. Ned first noticed Nicholas on a quiet Friday afternoon. Ned was relaxing in the town square when he saw a farmer pushing a cart full of vegetables. As the cart approached, Ned suddenly realized the farmer was not a dog, but a cat, and leaping to his feet, he rushed to block Nicholas's path. "Where do you think you're going, cat?" "Well, I brought my vegetables to sell to the town's dogs," Nicholas replied happily. "Well, pack 'em up and go back home to your cat friends," Ned ordered. "But I thought this was a free town where both dogs and cats could do business." Nicholas was right. There was no law against cats selling their wares in Pupland. Ned growled again and stepped aside. "Well, go ahead and peddle your goods. he called after him. "No dog will buy anything from a cat." At the end of each week it was the same story. Nicholas would bring his produce to the market, and Ned would pester him. By the way, there's a character in the back of that picture there that you're going to see again later. Early one summer morning Nicholas was out tilling the soil in his field. He was especially happy today because he was about to go to a family reunion in Pussy Willow. On this day, Ned the sheriff was also going on a trip. He was on his way to the Be Mean to Cats Association meeting in nearby Poochville. Ned was the treasurer of the group and was in charge of bringing the piggy bank. As he walked along, Ned noticed Nicholas's farm. Spying the cat working out in the field, Ned suddenly had an idea. Setting aside his bag and piggy bank, he snuck up behind Nicholas and let out a bellowing bark. Nicholas was so startled that he dropped his rake and jumped high in the air, losing his hat in a nearby bush and upending himself in a stack of hay. "Good morning, Mr. Nicholas," Ned said, chuckling. "Rather jumpy today, aren't we?" With a big grin on his face, Ned continued on his way toward Poochville. Nicholas was upset, but not for long. He soon remembered his family reunion and cheered right up. When his chores were done, he changed into his best overalls and donned a new bandana. Loading his cart with vegetables to share with his family, he began his journey. Upon reaching Poochville highway, he noticed a sign, "Beware of thieves." I certainly hope there are no thieves about today. So you can see the sign right there. Now it just so happened that a pack of wild dogs was indeed planning an ambush. Hidden behind a thick row of bushes, these ruffians were waiting to take advantage of an unwary traveler. "Nothing," Sid said, peering through the binoculars. "Hold it. Here comes someone." It was a dog carrying a bag and a piggy bank. "Someone's coming?" Muggsy yelped, bouncing up and down. "Knock it off, Muggsy," Bruno barked, swiping at Muggsy with his large paw. "Missed me, you big lug," Muggsy teased. "Cut the chatter," Sid ordered. "You guys know the routine. Let's do it." And they all took their places. "Excuse me, sir," Muggsy whined pitifully as he emerged from the bushes. "Can you spare a small biscuit for a hungry dog?" "Well, I guess," Ned replied, rummaging through his suitcase. But before Ned could find one, Bruno leaped out of the bushes and tackled him. Then Sid thumped him on the head. "Good job, boys," Sid said, picking up the piggy bank. He bashed the bank against a rock, and the three dogs gasped as biscuits poured out. Suddenly, Sid's ears perked up. What was that? They all listened. "Quick," Sid said. "Someone's coming. Help me get these biscuits into this bag." The three thieves loaded up the loot and hurried off into the bushes, leaving Ned beside the road. Coming down the highway was a terrier by the name of Dr. Scotty. He was on his way to perform an operation in Poochville. As Dr. Scotty rounded the bend, he was surprised to see a dog laying battered and bruised by the side of the road. "My, but that dog doesn't appear well," he exclaimed. "I would consider helping him, but I'm already late for my operation. Besides, I wouldn't want to risk getting sick myself." And hurrying to the opposite side of the road, he continued on his way toward Poochville. Sometime later another traveler came along. It was Prissy Highnoise, a poodle from a wealthy family. Prissy's limousine had gotten a flat tire, and she had decided to go ahead without it. Rounding the bend in the road she spotted Ned. "Oh my, how dreadful!" she exclaimed. "Some poor creature has fallen by the road. I suppose I should help him, but I wouldn't want to get all messed up. And besides, what if he is simply pretending in order to steal my valuables? Well, he won't fool me." Lifting her nose high in the air, Prissy continued down the road. Recognize Prissy, by the way? It was late afternoon when an overall-clad traveler pushing an old cart finally happened down the road. It was Nicholas, the cat. By now he was over halfway to getting to his family reunion, and he was more excited with every step. And there's our friendly cat. As his cart slowly rounded the bend in the road, Nicholas saw a large dog lying in the ditch up ahead. "Uh-oh, thieves hereabout," he said warily. "That unfortunate dog must have fallen prey to them. I wonder, should I stop and help him? It could make me late for my reunion, and there is always a chance this is some sort of trap." Then Nicholas shook his head. "Those are silly excuses. This poor animal needs my help." Leaning over the injured dog, Nicholas suddenly recognized him. "Why, it's Ned!" he gasped. "And he's been robbed." Nicholas carefully bandaged Ned's wounds and put drops of milk on his dry tongue. After straining to load him onto the cart, he summoned all of his strength and pushed the cart down the road. Fortunately, it wasn't long before they reached the dog-tired inn. Nicholas entered the inn and asked about a room. "Do you have any other rooms?" he said to the clerk. "Oh my," the beagle said. You're a cat." Nicholas smiled. "Yes, I know. About the room, it doesn't make any difference to me," the clerk said, but he pointed toward the sign near the door. "No cats allowed," Nicholas read. You guys see the sign back there behind the door? "But sir, I have a wounded dog outside in my cart." "Well, then that changes things, doesn't it? Do you have any biscuits?" Nicholas shook his head. "No, but I do have a load of fresh vegetables." This is highly irregular," the beagle said, rubbing his jowls. Nicholas finally convinced the innkeeper to give him a room, and then helped Ned into a bed. It wasn't until the next morning that Ned awoke. You guys can see the very cute beagle. Sorry about the glare, but I was really happy that the light was even this good. "Where am I?" Ned grumbled groggily. "And what are you doing here?" he asked when he saw Nicholas standing by his bed with a tray full of food. "I was on my way to my family reunion when I found you by the road," Nicholas exclaimed. "I was afraid you were robbed." "Robbed?" Ned groaned. "And you helped me?" Nicholas nodded. "What about all the mean things I've done to you? Barking at you, pestering you?" "We're still neighbors," Nicholas said, "even if we don't always get along." "Neighbors, huh?" Ned grunted. "Neighbors." Nicholas smiled. "Now eat something before it gets cold. I've got to get back to my farm, but I'll be back in a few days to check on you." Nicholas paid the innkeeper with vegetables and asked him to take good care of Ned. Then he headed down the road toward Pupland. A few days later, Nicholas went back to check on Ned. The sheriff was doing much better and felt well enough to return home. In the coming days, the two animals became friends. Nicholas kept on farming, and Ned continued to make sure no one broke the law. But each Friday, when the overall-clad figure rolled his cart into town, Ned didn't leap into the way to block his path. Instead, he rose and cleared a way for the farmer cat. "Make way, you dogs," he would yell. And then when Nicholas parked his cart in the village square, Ned would announce his arrival. "Gather around, you town's dogs, and come see what vegetables our neighbor the cat has brought." So did you guys recognize the parable? Of course you did. It's the story of the Good Samaritan, and Nicholas, of course, is the Good Samaritan. Jesus told this story in response to a question from a teacher of the law. He was an expert at what he did, and he had asked the question, "Who is my neighbor?" And Jesus had answered with this story, which says that the person who needs your help is your neighbor, and that's the person that you are supposed to show grace to, whether or not you like them, whether or not they're like you, or whether or not everyone around you thinks that you should act that way toward them. And so I'm going to end in the way that Jesus ended his parable. After he had finished his whole story, the expert in the law said, well, clearly the Samaritan was the neighbor to everybody else. And Jesus said, you're right. go and do likewise. And so I'm looking forward to what you guys get to do this summer in helping other people and showing grace to other people. And so I can't wait to hear all the stories come fall. Bye.